So I'm gonna keep this on the draw. One piece of Tron and then potentially another one. And this is interesting. Our opponent's leaning on Temple of Triumph. Okay. So this could mean like a red-white control type of strategy. And we've got a few choices in terms of what to play here. I'm gonna actually play the map though. But if I hadn't drawn the map, either the relic or the star would have been fine. Wow, so there is Chalice of the Void. So it is the red-white prison style deck. And that's bad news for us. This deck normally has cards like Blood Moon and Chalice of the Void to really make our life more difficult. So we're just going to have to try to go over the top here. Going to grab a tower. If our opponent has Blood Moon, that's going to be real bad. So hopefully that isn't the case. Alright, it's going to be Banishing Light. So that's going to take care of our Expedition map. So I think we just want to try to get towards Tron. If we can get Tron in play, we should be and our opponent doesn't have the Blood Moon, we should be fine here. So let's go ahead and scrying for the mine. And just passing the turn. Next turn we can play Ugin next turn. I mean, so if our opponent doesn't have some way to stop that, even though the Chalice and then the Banishing Light were nice, I think we're in a good spot. So, yep, just gonna play tower, and we could also just play Oblivion Stone instead of Ugin. So I kind of like that in case of something like another. Well, nah, I'm just gonna play Ugin. We just want Ugin in play because of potential Blood Moons, I think. And this card should just end the game pretty quickly. Yep, it's going to end the game right away, in fact. So, even though our opponent had Chalice on 1, Banishing Light our map, that wasn't enough. So, this is very much a control deck we're up against. Not many creatures. So, I don't think we want the Path to Exiles. And I'm going to cut those. Nature's Claim, we saw Banishing Light, but if our opponent plays a Chalice on 1, we can't really Nature's Claim it. We definitely want this other Oblivion Stone. We saw lots of permanent-based stuff, but we also want Nature's Claims, I think, as well, because of Blood Moon and then Banishing Light, assuming our opponent does play Blood Moon. On the draw, I also like the Gemstone Caverns. And yeah, I'm going to swap that out for a Ghost Quarter. There's some consideration to be made for Thragtusks. And also, Relic of Progenitus doesn't do a whole lot. It just basically cycles in this matchup. So I don't mind cutting those for the Thragtusks. So gonna try this configuration. And we saw that even just one single pay card from the opponent isn't going to be enough. It needs to be, you need to have everything. You need to have the Chalice on 1, the Blood Moon on 2, sort of thing, in order to really beat us. Or otherwise we can fight through with because we've got so many permanent based ways of taking cards off the table that once we get our Tron lands in play, I mean, our opponent's not presenting a very fast clock. And all right, so here is the Chalice. So that's gonna stop this chromatic star from getting played, which would have been our play, and it's gonna put us in a tough spot. It's turn 1 this time, so we're looking for a green source to be able to Sylvan Scrying to get this Oblivion Stone into play and to get this Karn into play, but we're a ways away. We're a ways away from being able to do all of that. Especially with only 2 lands in hand. We can only cast 2 spells in our hand. And there's the dagger. So just gonna have to start pitching cards now. If we draw a basic forest, that's definitely the best draw. But our opponent, it looks like, is going to go on the Simian Spirit Guide beatdown plan. Not something you see every day. So we just want lands. Really, if we had lands, even if they were non-basics, we could use this Oblivion Stone, but we just aren't drawing them. There's a Spells Guide. I forgot we even had that in our deck, but now we're going to play it. We're going to try to block here with it. Probably, on second thought, probably shouldn't have even had the Spells Guide in. Now it's just going to get Journey to Nowhere. And Journey to Nowhere, it's not really that great of a card against us. Alright, there's Urza's Mine, so I'm going to play this Oblivion Stone now. And if we can go draw land and get rid of all of these cards, that would be pretty nice. Alright, land. Didn't work. Called for it, didn't get it. So now the game has pretty much slipped away. Although technically we're taking 6. If we draw land, still maybe have a shot. Here's a land. So if our opponent doesn't have any burn, and we just take the 4 here and draw an untapped land, that'd be pretty absurd. Alright. Nope, not an untapped land. Alright. Fair enough, fair enough. We'll go to game 3. So yeah, I think having the Spells Guide in is pretty unnecessary. But at the same time, there's not a ton in the sideboard that we really want. Warping Whale doesn't seem great for this matchup. Relic Cycles. Ghost Quarter's a land. I'll take the. First of all, we definitely want both Ghost Quarters anyways in our deck, and we don't want these Gemstone Caverns anymore because we're gonna be on the play. And I'm fine with just playing the Spellskite. So I think this matchup is good, but our opponent just had what they needed that game, and we're gonna have to mulligan to start this game. And this is not where we want to be. Going to 5 here. No lands so far. Pretty much locked into keeping this. There's a tower, but we already have a tower in hand. So I'm going to ship that one. And going to get this Chromatic Star into play because we all know that our opponent could just go turn 1 Chalice again. So I'll play the star here. Speaking of turn 1 Chalice, wow. There it is. Speak of the devil. Alrighty. So we can crack this Chromatic Star and Sylvan Scrying here if we want to. Yeah, I think I like that. Although now we drew a Chromatic Sphere, which is a complete brick. We could also just hold on to the Sylvan Scrying. Or we could get a basic land with the Sylvan Scrying because of the potential of Blood Moon. So I think there's a lot of options here. Ancient Stirrings is not gonna be a good draw for us. So the question is, do we feel the need to hold on to the Sylvan Scrying or not? I think we do actually hold on to the Sylvan Scrying and just pass the turn. It's weird, but this is our only real spell in our hand. And so we want to draw one of the other missing Tron pieces. If our opponent has a Blood Moon, then more power to them. But we just got to play our game here. We're in a rough spot as is. So we drew another Sylvan Scrying. Okay, so now I do like casting the Sylvan Scrying for one of the missing Tron pieces. Although it's unfortunate because if our opponent plays Blood Moon, it's going to be really good. All right, still going to get the mine. I don't think we can afford to get a basic land with the Sylvan Scrying here. It's just too risky. All right, so our opponent isn't doing anything this turn. That's good news. So now we just go for the Tron for sure. This is a really weird game because we haven't done anything. We don't have anything in hand, and yet it doesn't feel like we're all that behind. Ajani's good though. Ajani is good. I will give our opponent credit for that. So that's gonna stop the mine. Sure. So now we can crack this Horizon Canopy to try to draw something. Or we can just play Power Plant and pass the turn. I'm also fine with that. There's not really that much we could draw that we would actively want to play here. But I think we do want to crack the canopy pretty much either way, so I'm going to crack it. And there's a Thragtusk. So now we don't have green mana at the moment. But we can potentially get it with these Ghost Quarters, but we're not going to do that right now. Thragtusk isn't really the threat we wanted. Ajani can Lightning Helix it away. We'd much rather have a Planeswalker or a big threat of some sort. But I think we were pretty much forced to sacrifice the Horizon Canopy there. Here's Gideon Jura. So yeah, we really need something like a Karn. immediately. Alright, Forest. That's going to mean we can play our Thragtusk. Unfortunately, though, now our opponent can tap down the tower with a Johnny, which is going to give us one less mana for next turn. So we're playing to our outs. Oblivion Stone would be great. Karn would be great. Alright, it looks like our opponent's going for Chandra now. So the trifecta of Planeswalkers plus Chalice. And Gideon Jura is going to plus, which means we're forced to attack Gideon. The tower is going to get tapped. That all makes sense. And then it looks like our opponent, okay, is going to give us a beast. How nice. How generous to give us a beast token in this spot. So, yeah, our hand is completely unusable. And we're pretty much locked into attacking Gideon. So our opponent is probably just going to plus Johnny again on this tower. So unless we immediately draw Karn, I think we're going to lose this game. It's pretty frustrating. Ulamog, if our opponent wasn't tapping this Urza's tower down, we could cast it and it would be absurd. But we can't cast it as the cards lie. And yep, there's a Johnny ultimate. That's going to be the match. We cannot win without any lands in